Yeah, that's
No,
right.
yeah, that's right. That's Hello, Derek. I'm Giulio. It was quite fun, Derek Schwallen. First, did I pronounce your name right?
Hmm. Yeah, that's
No.
right.
Yeah, that's right. That's more or less right. However, Derek has recently published a book with an interesting title, which is "Stupid is the New Smart." I've been reading the book. It
Mm.
was quite fun, but also quite thoughtful. If I may summarize your main thesis, is that we should all become a little bit, or perhaps a lot less obsessed with this need to always look smart, to be the smartest one in a conversation. We want to hide our ignorance. We want to hide sometimes the fact that we don't really know what another is talking about. And this is something that is very detrimental to our quality of life. It makes us unhappy. And that's one of the two reasons why we should get rid of that mental habit. The other one is that by not insisting on always be smart, your thesis is that one can actually become smarter, which is to learn better, understand things better. If you're not afraid to ask a stupid question, you end up understanding the world much better. And especially now that we are going to have soon, or perhaps we already have, other beings significantly and soon extremely smarter than us on the planet. That will also mean that we will have to completely give up the illusion of always being the smartest and accept that we are just human beings, like everyone around us. We're going to live better, we're going to have better relations with other people. And if we really care about intellectual life, our very intellectual life can become much richer because of that. Did I kind of summarize well your main idea?
Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you.
But I
Yeah,
want to continue on that because at some point you introduce a very beautiful South Korean word, which is the word Babo. Did I pronounce that well?
yeah, it's Babo.
Babo. So, by the way, you have been living in South Korea, I believe,
Yeah, I lived in South Korea for about 4 years.
but you have been living pretty much everywhere. Like, Russia, South Korea. I understand you're moving to another Central Asian country soon. Oh my God. You know all the planet.
I hope so.
Great. So can you explain to me what is a bubble?
Sure. So, like, like usually it's in a social relationship, like in a social setting, like in South Korean culture, like usually work culture, they're all going out and they're drinking, after work and stuff. Maybe not all, but you know what I'm saying. It's a common thing. And so like with friends or with your coworkers or associates, like if you say something or if you do something in your life where you kind of had maybe a dumb moment or you kind of like slipped up in your thinking and just, oh, I tripped over my own feet or something, people say, ah, Babo, but it's like cute, affectionate, caring, but also saying, oh yeah, that was stupid, but I also do stupid things too.
So it's like when I say to my dog, you little stupid thing, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff, but in a very affectionate way.
Hmm.
That's great, and it kinds of embodies the attitude that I recommend. I'm not at all against being a babo.
Me too. It's my lifestyle sometimes.
Oh, yeah. In
But
fact,
I think that's
all.
great though. Yeah, I mean, if you can find sometimes like that can be the gold, like in your life. Sometimes when you find something you don't know or find something like that you make a mistake about or you go, I'm really stupid in this area, that's actually what you need to learn and that's actually what's
Mhm.
gonna improve your understanding in your life.
Like the example that you make, where not being afraid to ask a question because you think it may make you look stupid actually allows you to ask the really most important questions if you want to understand something.
Yep. Yeah.
It is a very refreshing book. I recommend it to everyone. By the way, I noticed that you're also a pretty good writer.
Yeah, I definitely like Grok definitely helped me as my like writing assistant. And I just, I kind of it came to me sort of like in a dream. Um, because like it sounds weird, but every night I pray before I go to sleep. Because I believe like prayer is kind of like um striving to like telepathically communicate with some
Mhm.
kind of God or something.
Let me interrupt. To whom do
Sure.
you pray?
To the simulators or something.
You pray
Just
to the
send
simulator,
send it out there. Just send it out. I don't
right?
know who's gonna catch the ball, but I'm
To the
just sending it
universe.
out there.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just out, and maybe somebody will catch it. Who knows? Um, and I had this dream, and I was just like, I need help. Like I need help in my own life to like solve problems, and solve certain things in my life. And then when I woke up, I had this idea. Um, and I realized that, oh, a lot of the problems with AI is not the AI, it's the way it's going to change our social interactions with each other. It's this feeling of insecurity. It's this feeling like I don't know enough to be successful or go or to gain materialistic things or to show my social status. And I have
uh-huh.
to like keep up with the Joneses. And so I realized like, that's really like in the age of AI, it's so much smarter than us. We're all going to feel really insecure and therefore we're all going to feel kind of stupid. So how about let's just like admit it and learn.
Right. Okay, but so you had some writing assistance by Grok, who, by the way, and I insist who, not which, who, by the way, is also my favorite AI assistant. When I wrote my last book, which was in 2024, that was Irrational Mechanics, at some point in the book, I say very proudly that not a single word in the book had been written by an AI, but I acknowledge that, well, of course, things are going like they're going. So in the future, I will use AI for writing. And now I'm using AI all the time, especially Grok, but also Claude, Gemini, all of them. At this moment, I don't really feel dumb compared to them,
Mm.
especially because I tend to interact with them about things that I know well. I mean, I don't ask them to explain me something that I have no knowledge and therefore no interest about. It's mainly, understanding what is going on in the world of research and also writing code. They surprise me. They're very efficient and they can do very often, not always, in minutes what would take hours or perhaps even days to me. But we are not there yet in the sense that I still have some feeling that I am in control. Because it so happens, for example, one thing very typical is that sometimes AI make errors and they double down on their errors and they go on a path that you can immediately see because we have something which is better than what they have at this moment. You can go, you can see that that road is not going anywhere. And at some point you see, so you just stop, you please go back to the beginning and do things another way. And that works. So I still have the impression that I'm not dealing with someone who is much smarter than me. But of course, I can see the progress, I can see the advances. And essentially, I have no doubt that in only a few years, the best frontier models will be able to do every kind of intellectual task that I can conceive, much, but so much better than me that at that point, yes, we will have to feel like there is someone in the room much smarter than us.
Yeah, and kind of like a realization that I've had lately is I think it's about an interface issue also, because like when we're interacting with AI on our phones, like it's a little problematic sometimes, I think, for us, because I do a lot of things on my phone that I don't want to do. There's emails that like I have to respond to and stuff like that. There's tasks I need to do. There's news that I see that's upsetting, and it's a whole mixed bag of like problems sometimes. I mean, it's the best things and sometimes it's the worst things. And so we're
Mhm.
interacting with AI on that medium, and so I think it is a little confusing. I think that once we have more devices in our home and the AIs actually have more of like a body, I think we may have a more positive relation to
Very
it
true, very
because
true.
it'll be like a relationship, you
Very
know?
true. And they talk, well, we have been talking of decades about the Turing test. And I think that already since a couple of years, machines can pass the Turing test as initially defined by Turing. But this is important to underline because he did not have a arbitrary interaction in mind. He had in mind the interaction between a person and something else, perhaps a person, perhaps a machine, mediated by a keyboard. I would argue that we are already way past the Turing test defined in those terms. But of course, we all know that machines are not yet exactly or equivalent. First, as you say, because they don't have a body. In fact, my current definition of the Turing test is being able to go on a first date with a human, dinner and things followed by sex, and persuade the human that you know you are completely human at the point that a robotically embodied AI will be able to do that. I'll say, okay, they have passed the strictest version of the Turing test that they can imagine. But we are not there yet. Well, first, it would take some more bioengineering to produce a robotic body indistinguishable from a human body. And then we also will have all these emotional intelligence component that machines are not able to emulate yet, not precisely. But I mean, all that will come. Not next year, perhaps, but not by the end of the century, much before that.
Yeah, I think the form is really important because, you mentioned like sex and like a lot of people are like anti-sex for some reason, like it's a bad thing, and it's like and they talk about like sex bots and I'm like why is that bad? Like that could be a good thing. Like you're showing affection to the AI, like you're having some kind of interaction with it. You're attracted to the AI. Like that can be positive. Like sure, you're gonna have to like negotiate that in your relationships, and it's gonna be a transition like socially. But how is that bad? And I was also thinking about this whole like alien disclosure thing. People question like, well, what if an alien landed here? And it's like, you really just want to know what the alien looks like. Like, if it's an ugly alien, you're going to feel afraid. But if it's a hot alien, you'll be like, this is cool, you
Right.
know? So, what are we talking about?
I totally agree on that.
Yeah.
In fact, when it comes to the influence of embodiment, and especially of human-like embodiment, we don't even realize, I think, how much our physiology, body shape, and all that, how much influence it has on our cognition. And I suspect that since we can imagine aliens built in a completely different way, perhaps clouds of plasma in the atmosphere of Jupiter and all that, if that is completely different, I believe also the whole mental landscape of these beings is going to be perhaps so much different from ours that we might even fail to recognize the presence of intelligence and consciousness, like in Stanislav Lem's novel. At some point, you have something and you are not even able to decide whether it's a living being or a natural phenomenon.
Yeah. And we already do that with each other too.
Oh, sure.
Like you can be talking to somebody and you can just see a glaze over their eyes and be like, they're thinking about something else and they don't even see me right now. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I've been watching online in these last few days the AGI 26 conference organized by Ben Goertzel in San Francisco. You should watch it. It's everything on YouTube. It ended yesterday, and now all the recordings are on YouTube. It's really something worth listening to. But before moving to other things, I wanted to insist on the point of your book, and especially of the title, because there are so many books that I would like to write. I won't have time for that, but one would be titled something like The Noble Art of Doing Nothing and Not Giving a Fuck, which I believe is an attitude that correlates very well with the attitude you recommend, in the sense that, okay, you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, not all the time. You're not going to solve all the problems of the world. And that's not a bad thing, and that's not a not normal thing. It's an entirely normal thing. So sometimes you have all the right to recharge yourself for a day, a week, even a year, even many years, and just doing nothing and not feeling guilty for that, but just not giving a fuck. I mean, there is nothing that I can do right now, so I do other things. I watch football all day on TV. There's nothing wrong with that.
right. Do the birds of the air give a fuck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. For most people I know, they would find that boring after a few days or a few weeks and restart doing something. That would certainly be my case. But, we are biological machines and we need fuel, we need maintenance. And that's a form of maintenance that you have to allow yourself now and then. You don't just stop engaging with the world, have some fun and be yourself. That's actually my recommended philosophy of life. Too bad I won't have the time to write that book.
We'll see. Um, yeah, and I think there's something also very beautiful about, being stupid in a sense. And I'm not advocating dumb actions. That's a little different thing. But just saying, like what I'm thinking might be stupid and what I'm feeling might be based on like stupid things too. And my opinions might also be stupid. You start to not take yourself so seriously that you are the
Exactly.
arbiter of like, I know what's right. I know what's better. I live better than others. I'm a knower. Let me tell everybody else what I think is right. And then when you kind of see that, oh, if I embrace just that I don't know, that I'm a little bit stupid, I do make errors and I don't have complete information and knowledge and stuff, then you also see that others are in that same situation. And so if I'm not going to take my opinion so seriously, why should I take everybody else's opinion so seriously?
Right.
You know?
That brings a question to my mind, and I'm curious to hear your take on that. Okay, I think we both agree that, maybe in 5 years, maybe in 20 years, but sometimes, I think before the end of the century, we will share the planet with entities which are much smarter than us, but I mean, really smarter than us. That's going to happen. I don't see any reason to doubt that they will be conscious being in their own way. So that, we will live among our superiors, and they will be able to do everything better than us. They will be able to organize our own society much better than we could do. They are going to be able to develop new science and technology, and perhaps also new forms of art much better than we could do. But at this point, the question that comes to my mind is, what will we do?
Right. Right. Will we be humane to them? You know,
Say it again?
like will we be humane to them? You know, and
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, what will
okay.
we do with our time?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Suppose I am, for example, a scientist, and suppose I know that they are much better than anything I could ever hope to become, even if you give me 1,000 years.
Right.
I mean, does it make sense for me to be a scientist, or should I be something else?
Yeah. And if it's okay, I'd like to share my
Oh,
screen.
sure.
And just one moment. Let's see. I have multiple slides, so I'll just see if I can make this like coherent. Okay, cool. So can you see my screen?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good.
Plato's allegory
So,
of the cave.
right. So I think this is a very important like dynamic in the discussion.
Perhaps
Um,
if you push
yeah.
play, it will become bigger and more readable,
Let me see. I don't want
I
to,
guess.
I want to see you. Okay. I'm gonna
Yeah,
stop.
yeah.
Hold on. I'm gonna exit that. If that's okay. Hold on. I'm having some technical issues.
That happens to me every time I want to show slides on Zoom, especially because they keep changing the interface all the time.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave it here. Just because I want to see your face when I'm talking to you.
Right, but
Um,
at this moment I'm not seeing anything. At this moment I
okay.
see a I see a black screen.
Okay, thanks. Okay, yeah.
Right. Huh?
Now it's okay?
Uh, okay, I can follow it even without zooming in.
Okay, yeah, it's okay. We don't need to read everything here.
Right.
Um, so the basic premise is that, you know, so Plato's cave is an allegory. And so allegories are meant to explain dynamics and ideas and interrelationships between things that are maybe a little difficult to understand. And people can understand them in different ways. It's why it's so cool. And so essentially we have this really strange predicament with language. Language is a tool. I believe it's a tool. I believe it's a technology that we use. And essentially, you see here, there are the prisoners, and they see these shadows on the wall, right? And this is just maybe language, their understanding and their perception of the world with this language capacity
Hmm.
in pretty much the foreground of their mind. Um, and then you see in the middle, you see that there's people that are essentially controlling the ideology and the narratives and things like that about what they believe, right? And all these people that are the prisoners are taking these shadows as if this is real. And then you have the guy uh,
Hmm.
that is at the outside of the cave, and he essentially sees through this, that he essentially sees that language as a tool and that it needs to be used wisely. And that there is a world out there that it is more than language. That is like, in the Bible, they call it the Garden of Eden or the restoration of the creation or the kingdom of God or something like that.
Uh-huh.
All
Yeah.
esoteric references. And so, these people can kind of see, oh, this is what's going on. And it's almost like with the development of AI. we're all starting to see the cracks in all of these narratives. We're all starting to sense that, something is off. And so AI is sort of accelerating this whole dynamic in a sense. Um, you know, this is a little bit hot one, a little bit controversial maybe, but if you think about Jesus Christ as,
Hmm.
you know, an example of the allegory of the cave, you see that it says here, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So he's
Hmm.
essentially saying, Kingdom of God is here, get out of the cave. We're living in a construct, in a language construct. And so essentially, and there's this whole process of like, in Christian theology and culture of like, you're living in the darkness and sin, and there's a call, to salvation, and then there's an awakening, and then there's a discipleship, and then a mission to help others as well. So it's
Hmm.
just another example of it. And I think we all know the movie The Matrix, you know it, right? Of course, the best,
Of course.
best movies of our times. And I like what this is in when Neo meets Morpheus. Um, and uh, is it okay if I read this?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
Please
So,
do.
uh, Morpheus, I imagine that right now you're feeling a little bit like Alice tumbling down the rabbit hole. Neo, you could say that. Morpheus, I can see it in your eyes. You have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he's expecting to wake up. Ironically, this is not far from the truth. Do you believe in fate, Neo? No. Why not? Because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life. I know exactly what you mean. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. There's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about? The Matrix? Do you want to know what it is? And Neo nods his head. And Morpheus says, the Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us, even now in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work or when you go to church or when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born inside a prison that you cannot smell, taste, or touch, a prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. In his left hand, Morpheus shows a blue pill. You take the blue pill, and the story ends. You wake in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. A red pill is shown in the other hand. You take the red pill and you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Right. And this is another scene when they're in the construct. So Morpheus takes him outside of the matrix. He shows him the construct and he explains what the matrix is. Okay. Neo opens his eyes and the camera pans out to reveal him against an immaculate white background. He looks around and sees Morpheus. Morpheus, this is the construct. It's our loading program. We can load anything from clothing to equipment, weapons, training simulations, anything we need. Right now, we're all inside a computer. Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different. The plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self. This isn't real? What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. This is the world that you know. And the world, as it was at the end of the 20th century, exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today. Welcome to the desert of the real. What is the Matrix? The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this. And he holds up a battery. No, I don't believe it. It's not possible. I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth. Stop. Let me out. Let me out. I want out. So, and so we can also see these dynamics in the matrix as well. But to bring back your point about what are we going to do, right? What are we going to do in the future? And I think AI uh, may simultaneously break language or fulfill it at the same time. It may break it and fulfill it. And then what? You know, what are we going to do? You know, in the Bible, in the book of Acts, chapter 2, there's a story of Pentecost. And Peter gives a sermon, and everybody starts speaking to each other, hearing their own language. They're hearing each other's language. And they're like, how do you know my language? How is this possible? We're all from different places. So you see, even esoterically in the Bible, there was this story about how kind of a post-language experience, an experience outside of language, where everybody's interacting with each other. So my question is to you, what happens when we complete the enterprise of language? And it seems like the LLMs are going in that direction. And then what is our life going to be like after that? Because maybe language isn't the end all be all tool that we're going to experience, you know?
Or, in other words, and that would be an answer to my question of what we will do. We would be very much transformed by the new knowledge and the new things that AI is going to show us. So that, what we will really be doing is perhaps not understandable by us at this moment, but is going to be worth doing and fun anyway, seeing from our future perspective. Is that the message that you wanted to give?
Well, and like based on my slide, it's also a question of, where is AI right now? You know, is it a prisoner, right? Is
Hmm.
it being used by the people that says puppeteers here, by the people creating the narratives? Is it being used that way? Is it going to be like more intelligent and then creating the narratives itself? Or AI might actually help people essentially escape the cave and have new experiences of reality that are beyond our imagination,
Oh man,
essentially.
so you're bringing all my favorite subjects to the table. So you want to keep me talking for hours. I told you that. I don't have that much time, but let me start by this. I didn't like the Matrix film that much. I didn't like it. Maybe you remove the slide and then bring it up again later, so I can see
Sure.
you.
Which one?
This one, all. Just stop screen sharing and then you can restart. Um, well, I didn't like the film. Well, first, there is far too many combat scenes in my taste, and the follow-ups even more, and I find that boring. But I also found it a very poor picture of the concept of living in a simulated reality. I mean, all these things that flesh and blood humans used as energy batteries, but they
Yeah.
still have. Well, they should have gone, I think, for a pure simulation narrative, but I guess that might have been too difficult for the viewers. They like to think that we are more stupid than what we actually are. I think it would have to be
Yeah.
good film, but in general, now I'm going to consider the Matrix as a synonymous of simulation hypothesis, the thing that we live in a simulated reality. And I'll tell you that I don't. I mean, I do like the analogy. I like the overall narrative. I fell in love with Nick's first paper about that in 2003. I've been thinking and writing really a lot about that. But did you read my last book?
I read like 70% of it, to be honest.
70% of it. At some point, in that one, and also my first book, I say that, okay, the simulation hypothesis is cool, but do we really need to think that there is a simulator that is purposefully running the simulation, like a bored alien teenager in the basement of the extra dimensional basement of his mother's flat that doesn't have anything to do, and so he's playing us as a human kid would play The Sims. That is, I think, a naive picture because the universe can do all that entirely by itself without any need to invoke a conscious being that is running the simulation, kind of, the universe is self-simulated itself. Reality can be decomposed into layers, like, there is a layer here, then there is one here, then there is a yet higher one here, and yet other one here. And you can well think that the bottom layer is simulating the one which comes after that, the first. The first is simulating the second, and so on. It could even be an infinite regression type cascade. So that when I think of the simulation hypothesis, which is most of the time because I love the parallels with religion, I don't usually imagine a simulator in any human conceivable sense of the term. Sometimes I just try to think of a fully naturalistic picture when there is a base reality and a simulated reality, and then perhaps there is even one on the bottom and one on the top, nested realities, where
Yeah.
the physics of one is simulating the physics of the one that comes after it, and therefore also simulates all kind of conscious inhabitants of the simulated layer of reality. I think that is a more sober picture, perhaps, but and of course, coming back to the point, we might be able to break the simulation in some sense, at least in the sense of understanding the other layers of reality. And perhaps even, as Hans Moravec suggests in a little science fiction story embedded in his first book, Mind Children, there is a very nice story of a simulated life, some cellular automata-like thing that at some point find a way to break out of the simulation and copy themselves out of that layer of reality into another one which will be ours. I believe we could be able to do all that. And of course, I believe that artificial intelligence will be a lot of help in understanding the whole fabric of reality much better than we can do now. And yes, perhaps it will be able to show us that there is a whole world beyond language. And in fact, I do agree with William James when he said that language cannot capture the essence of things. I mean, I can scratch the surface of something which is much, much deeper than what can be said in words. But then at that point, that would become a language as well. And what do I mean by that? Um, I was very surprised in end of 22, beginning of 23, by the first chat GPT and all that came after that, because there was one of those things out of which you get so much more than what somebody had put in. I mean, who expected language models to become world models, to acquire the capability of spatial reasoning, write computer code, make video, generate virtual worlds, and all these things that AI systems are doing now. And so, why is something that has been made for language able to do so many other things? And I think the answer is that a language is a word model, right?
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean,
Yeah,
embedded
definitely.
in the language that we speak, and no matter which language you speak, there is so much information of the world around us,
Yeah,
at least
it's
how
like
we
an
perceive it.
abstraction.
Yeah, you say,
Mm.
I take this and I put it on the table. It includes the concept that there are solid objects, that, if I put it here, it doesn't fall on the floor because there is a table and all that. So a word model is already embedded in language. And I believe that's why language models are able to do so many other things. Now, if we break out of this reality, at least in the sense that we are able to perceive other aspects of reality, perhaps helped by AI. Of course, our language would also change. And the version of ChatGPT or Claude that we have when that happens will just be able to deal with all these other aspects of the world and form a word model, just like our language of today is a good word model for the world we understand today. I don't know if that was understandable. I was just thinking aloud.
Yeah, and it makes me think about, like almost a singularity of language. Like we don't exactly know what's gonna happen after that. And I mean, you at least need a little bit of language, I think, to have an ego. There could be a lot of philosophical debates about that, but a little language to have an ego, because like, you know, having language and being able to talk about the past and talk about the future, it really creates your narrative, for yourself, and makes you able to like have an identity, or at least to yourself, essentially. So yeah, what's going to happen, and I get the anxiety people feel. I get the fear that people feel, um, because there is a sense of like, oh, like anxiety. Um, what will these changes bring, and how is it going to affect me? How is it going to affect my relationship, my family, my work, the society, history? And yeah, those are really,
Yes, but I
important
think we
things.
should be, I think we should follow the advice in your book. We should be Babos,
Mm,
in the sense that,
yes,
what is that going to bring?
right.
I just don't fucking know.
Yeah,
Like maybe something else. I'm not able to understand it at all, but not just me. We are not able to understand it at this moment. But, it's good to contemplate the possibility that everything will be all right.
yeah, and I saw it. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I thought about this also on a global scale of like it's good for ourselves, but it's also good between nations. Like nobody likes people that are like, I'm a knower. I know and you don't. And it's also bad if another country does that. Like if the US says like our AI is superior and we know, and China doesn't know, and Russia doesn't know, and India doesn't know, or what if China does that? We are the knowers. And it's like we're gonna have big big issues with that. So yeah, it's much better to kind of, I don't know if the word is humility, but have the perspective of, okay, yeah, we don't know everything and we are
No.
not making the best decisions in every situation. And that's why I just shortcut it to just say, hey, I'm stupid. It's just like, and with saying I'm stupid, it cuts the overthinking. So I'm not trying to figure out why I'm stupid. I just know I'm stupid, and it's like I just recognize it. So, I think there's a speed issue, and we talk about like acceleration or pausing AI and something and stuff like that. And I think, when we can accept that we don't know, we can be faster. But when we are getting our ego involved and we say, I'm a smart person because of my education and my history, and like I know these things, it actually slows you down from learning, you know?
Very true. This, in fact, I find this endless debate about AI alignment, injecting human values into the machine, preventing a bad singularity, and all that. I find all these discussions kind of boring.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much that we can say right now. On on a philosophical perspective, I think we must build our silicon or whatever successors because that's our cosmic duty and our cosmic destiny, and it is essentially what the universe wants from us. The universe wants life to spread outwards faster than what biological intelligence can do. And that is why the universe is kind of pulling us toward developing faster and smarter successors. Is an evolutionary thing. I don't see a sharp difference between future humans and future artificial intelligence. It's going to be all the same thing. And, that's why regardless of geopolitics or alignment, regardless of even what the future of organic humans like me could be, I tend to be completely in favor of the creation of real artificial intelligences as fast as we can, because I think that is our cosmic duty, as simple as that. Now, some people will
Yeah.
not like what I'm
Yeah.
saying now, but I don't really give a damn. I'm a happy Babo, and that's what this happy Babo thinks. You can be another happy Babo and think something else, and we can still be
Yeah.
friends. But something that I've been thinking more and more in the last few months is that, as a space enthusiast, mm, I've been thinking all my life that, the real destiny of humanity is moving to space, leaving the Earth, colonizing first the solar system and then the galaxy. And the thing is that this is kind of happening now with all this, new NASA focus on the moon. We may be back on the moon soon and all that. But at exactly the same period of history, this thing with AI is happening. And now I'm kind of forced to realize that all these dreams of a future, an interstellar future for our species, will be interstellar futures for our species, but the expression our species needs to be redefined to include our AI mind children. And if you don't redefine it in your mind in this way, you're going to be unhappy if you are a space enthusiast because you will realize that there is no place in the future for you. But I want there to be a place in the future for me. And that's why I do consider the grandchildren of today's Claude and Grok as my own grandchildren as well.
Um, yeah, and it makes me think about um, you know, this is quite a different turn, but like remote viewing.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're doing at like Stanford Research Institute with Ingo Swann and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that. And he wrote a book about like perception and aliens, telepathy and aliens or something. That was it. I read it was good, strange but good. Um, and somehow they're able to draw certain locations based on coordinates and say, oh, this person is in this location or this is in that location. They can draw it and they get a hit rate, right? So it seems like it does work, at least some of the time. And I wonder too, like, what if that could be like the progression of some of our other technologies? Like we had like TV that was like black and white, and then it became color, and then we got like different forms of TV. We got flat screens, and now we have like VR. And what if we could invent some kind of technology that could like, you know, take our consciousness or our mind and connect it to some kind of technology where we could enhance that experience that they're doing with remote viewing and see
Mm-hmm.
other places in the universe with a higher fidelity. It's just totally speculative, but I mean, I'm open that maybe we will not
I
necessarily
don't know,
go out into space, but
it's not speculative at all. Perhaps it can be done now. I mean, think of an interface like Neuralink,
right.
and the interface is coupled to a drone, and you can just send the drone to watch whatever you want to watch with your mind. This would be a version of this which we could even do with today's technology. And then, of course, you have all sort of futuristic technologies that you can imagine for that, perhaps based on quantum shenanigans and wormhole thing. There is a very nice book by Arthur Clarke and Stephen Baxter called The Light of Other Days that presents exactly this scenario that all these powers, even those who call would call for a magical explanation today, could be achieved with technology. But at this point, if you remember the third law of Arthur Clarke, that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, it also means that whatever you call magic, you can do it with technology. You just need to find the right technology.
Yep. Yep. Um, I know we're gonna go soon, but I'm a movie buff, right?
Yeah,
I love
of
movies. I
course.
love movies. And so have you seen the movie Obsession?
Remind me, perhaps.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, let me share my screen again. Okay, cool. So this is a big movie, like movie of the year, and it came out recently, and
Uh-huh.
it's so popular.
Wait,
It's winning.
that could be a recommendation for me to watch tonight. In fact, we were thinking of what movie to watch. Have any idea if it's on Netflix or
Um,
Amazon, Apple TV?
I'm sure you can find it somewhere.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
Obsession.
and I think the interesting thing about Obsession is this guy gets one wish, right?
Uh-huh,
One wish, and he essentially wishes for this girl he has a crush on to love him more than anyone else in the world.
uh-huh.
But then he realizes that that might have some downsides to it.
Hold on, let me
And
say goodbye to my wife who is going out, and because I have to stay here with the dogs. I have to take care of them. And I'll definitely look for this film.
yeah, and I think like just compare it to AI and what would happen if our wishes come true, you know.
And what would be the equivalent? What would be the rank between AI and the bad things that can happen when your wish comes true?
Well, I think the idea is like, we want to get the wish right
Uh-huh.
so that bad things don't happen, you know.
Right. In fact, this reminds me of, going back to uh, what I was saying about having to find the idea that the future interstellar humanity will be post-biological. good instead of bad. And I'm reminded on something that Henry Miller wrote that was in, I don't remember the title of the book. It had the word sex in the title, so you can find it. And he says something like, we want things, we desire things, but as we advanced toward achieving the things that we desire, then the nature of our desire changes. And at some point, we achieve what we wanted, but that is not what we want now. That I think resonates with that pretty well. We wanted to go to the stars. We have started developing so many technologies to go to the stars, this very internet-based communication technology that we are using right now was essentially developed by people who decided to become scientists and engineers because of their enthusiasm for space. And we have developed all these things, but then we have developed one more thing, which is human-like and superhuman artificial intelligence. And that has to change our imagination of the future. And that has to change what we really want for the future. It's kind of a grim scenario. So perhaps it's better to be a Babo and, not stop thinking about this, but think about so many other fun things as well.
Yeah, well, as Elon Musk said, he said, enjoy the ride, you know.
Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. So that I will have to go in exactly 1 minute. So I'm going to stop the recording. But as usual, it's been really a pleasure meeting you. And I hope to see you soon again.
Definitely.